Yu Akabane starts the day with optimism and vigor. After spending most of her life at rock bottom, she feels lucky to be given the chance to start again. This is her new era, and no one can stop her. She walks to her school with a dreamy expression, thinking nothing will go wrong. But fate reminds her that blissful times don't last forever. Calling her, Oi, is none other than Kurosaki Haruto. This brooding young man walks to her, reminding her of her place in his life, that she is his slave, and she should obey him at all times without fail. Then he kisses her. It takes Yui's brain a few seconds to reboot before pushing Kurosaki away. She tells him she won't simply do what he tells her to do. But he holds his ground. He lifts her chin up and emphasizes that she has no choice but to follow what he says. And with that, he leaves. Exasperated, Yu exclaims that he's a devil, before remembering that he has good ears. Thankfully, Kurosaki continues to walk on. She still hasn't gotten over that interaction when another young man calls her name. This time, it's Shirakawa Takumi. His kind personality suddenly brightens everything. She smiles as she returns his greetings. Pointing at his lips, he asks her to press the button to start. Yu thinks this is about their pretend boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, but he corrects her. He says that setup is over. This time, they'll have a different relationship, so she better press the button. Yu presses his lips with her finger. Then, as gently as possible, he turns her face to him to kiss her. After that, he smiles, tells her he'll see her later, then walks away. To receive a kiss one after the other from the school's Black Devil and White Prince, respectively, is a dream every girl has. But Yu thinks it's all crazy. She has no idea how it all came down to this. She tries to remember the start of everything. Yu used to be a gloomy, plain, and ugly girl in her previous school. Because of this, she was always the subject of teasing and mistreatment from her classmates. One day, she decided this had to stop. She learned how to put on makeup, how to fix her hair, and wear cute clothes. She also decided she would transfer to a school that offers dormitory residences, where no one could recognize her. Eventually, she found one with a co-ed dormitory and transferred there immediately. But her life became hell when she met Kurosaki Haruto, also known as the Black Devil. He was the vice head of the dorm, and the one the students were afraid of. Their doomed meeting was exacerbated by the scissors incident, in which Yu had to cut his hair that got stuck in her button. Since then, she has become his slave, doing whatever dormitory chore he gives her. He even stole her first kiss, when she had no prior experience in romance. But she felt that God didn't abandon her, because just as she was haunted by that devil, she met the angel Shirakawa Takumi, also known as the White Prince. He was the dorm head and the beloved prince of the school. Every time she saw him, her heart would sparkle and her stomach would flutter. When he found out about her inexperience in romance, he volunteered to be her pretend boyfriend. As much as she would like to dream, she was also realistic about his offer. She knew he only pitied her, and there's no way he would be her boyfriend for real. But because of her connection with him, she met friends like Mako and Takako. Before she knew it, she was being passed between the Black Devil and the White Prince like a ball. She knew then, and even now, that they're only hanging out with her because of their whims. There was even a time when they both cornered her and asked her to choose between them. Would she like to be Kurosaki's slave or remain as Shirakawa's pretend girlfriend? She didn't answer, but she did want to know more about each of them. And that brings everything back to the present. Yui's life becomes more interesting as she tries to find out the meaning behind those kisses. Meanwhile, Kurosaki and Shirakawa walk together towards one of the school buildings. They are longtime best friends, but it's only now that they're having a rivalry over a girl. Shirakawa says he overwrote what Kurosaki did to Yu. Kurosaki understands that he is implying about the kiss. He asks him if something is wrong with his brain. But Shirakawa is serious when he says he's going to battle it out with him. Both of them have developed feelings for Yu. In a flashback, we see that it was Shirakawa who issued the challenge. He says he won't back out now. So may the best man win. In truth, they're both the best men in the eyes of all the girls in the school. They can swoon over Shirakawa's charms, and, at the same time, be intrigued by Kurosaki's daredevil attitude. They all think that whoever they choose will be the luckiest of all. In the next scene, we see Yu and Mako running into the classroom just as their teacher enters. They go to their designated seats, but Yu cowers when she sees Kurosaki already sitting behind her desk, waiting for her. Even inside the classroom, Yu is not safe from his domineering attitude. While the teacher is busy discussing the results of their exam, Kurosaki pulls Yu's hair and whispers to her that she should weed the courtyard after class. She agrees. Then she begs him to let go, but he doesn't. He moves closer and warns her not to be cheerful for just anyone. He bites her ear in warning. Yu lets out a loud yap, which distracts the teacher and the class. She says she's all right, but her heart is hammering hard in her chest. Her day isn't going well. Mako and Takako are worried about her, but she can't explain what's going on. Mako thinks it's something to do with Shirakawa. Just then, he approaches the girls and asks if he can borrow Yu for a while. Mako and Takako say yes, offering Yu to him like a cup of tea. Shirakawa brings her to the schoolyard, where he gives her some snacks. He notices her discomfort, so he asks what's wrong. Yu says she's grateful for his help in improving her non-existent relationship skills, but instances like the kiss he gave her that morning make her wonder where she should draw the line. Shirakawa smiles, understanding her point. He clarifies to her that he likes her, for real, and he is serious about her. Yu immediately denies it, saying there's no way someone as kind as Shirakawa can fall for her. But he insists. As they walk back to the school building, they have no idea they're being watched by 3 girls. Specifically, they are watching Yu. They resent her for monopolizing Shirakawa's time. Doesn't she know Shirakawa is the nation's boyfriend? And he should be shared by all the girls. After school, she cleans the picnic chairs, just as Kurosaki instructed her. To her surprise, he appears beside her, only to give her more chores. Before he walks away, she calls him out. She tells him to stop doing crazy things to her, like the kiss from that morning. Kurosaki's eyes widen in rage. He lifts her chin up and threatens to do things to make her more submissive. She pushes him away, and they bicker. A few paces away, the same 3 girls observe them. They can't believe that Yu is also taking over Kurosaki. This is not acceptable. She can't have both the Black Devil and the White Prince. So, that night at the dormitory, they inform her that the girls' bathroom is under maintenance. Therefore, she should use the boys' bathroom. The management is only allowing girls to use it until 8 p.m. Yu is grateful for this information. Later, she enters the boys' bathroom. Luckily, it's empty, so she can take up all the time she needs to soak in the bath. She doesn't know that the sign posted by the door is fake, put up by the 3 girls who are insecure about her. They aim to humiliate her by making sure that boys will see her when they use the bath. However, their plan will backfire on them later. Just as Yu enjoys her relaxing time in the tub, someone enters the bath. Of all the people to enter, it's Kurosaki who walks towards one of the showers. She can hear him showering, clearly unaware of her presence there. Only when he soaks in the adjacent tub does he find out that Yu is there. He doesn't freak out, but he questions why she's there. Yu says she will leave, so he should shut his eyes. But before she can get out of the tub, Shirakawa enters, calling for Kurosaki. Now she's trapped. Kurosaki is looking at her intently, and before she knows it, he steps over and sits in front of her. Shirakawa sees his friend lounging idly in the tub, unaware that Yu has dumped herself in hot water. The following minutes are tense and hot literally as Yu has to keep quiet and remain dipped in hot water, with Kurosaki covering her. Shirakawa takes his time showering. Thankfully, he decides not to soak in the tub, as the water's too hot for his preference. After Shirakawa leaves, Yu can finally leave as well, but she's been soaked in hot water for too long, making her dizzy. She passes out in the water, and Kurosaki only finds out because of her floating hair tie. He covers her with a shirt and carries her unconscious body back to her room. The 3 insecure girls have been waiting just outside the bath to see what has happened, but they all become disappointed when they see Kurosaki carrying Yu. Instead of being ashamed for what they've done, they resent Yu more and wish they could be carried like a princess as well. Yu wakes up after a few minutes. She's surprised to find herself in her room. She's even more shocked to find Kurosaki standing a few feet away, evidently watching and waiting for her to wake up. She immediately covers herself with her blanket and tells him not to look at her because she doesn't have her makeup on. She wants to know if he finds her plain. He replies that no matter what she looks like, she's still her. He suddenly becomes awkward, so he gives her a bottle of cold water to soothe her. Then he leaves. As he walks down the stairs, he overhears the 3 girls still talking about the failed plan. Now he understands why Yu was in the boys' bath in the first place. Back in her room, Yu ruminates about what just happened. She's baffled by the kindness and gentleness Kurosaki has shown her. It can't be right, because he's the devil who makes her life hell. She still feels dizzy, so she decides to cool down in the common room. Just then, a melodic piano piece can be heard all over the dormitory. Every resident knows it's Kurosaki playing the piano. Yu wonders out loud how a mean guy like him can play such gentle tunes. To her surprise, Kaji answers that question for her. Kaji idolizes Kurosaki very much, and for a good reason. He says Kurosaki saved him from his bullies when they were young. That's how he knows Kurosaki is a kind-hearted person, despite his mean exterior. He also adds that playing the piano is Kurosaki's only way to express the depth of his emotions. Over the weekend, Yu invites Meiko to hang out with her. Inside her room, the two girls talk about their parents and their school life. Then, Meiko spots the white shirt hanging in front of Yuu's dresser. She assumes Shirakawa lent it to Yu. Yu gets reminded again of what happened last night. She's about to tell Meiko about it when someone calls their name. It's Kaji, together with Kakeru. They are inviting the girls to play basketball. Yu and Meiko agree to play with them. Meiko is a sporty girl. She easily outplays Kaji. Just then, Kurosaki happens to pass by. Kaji calls him to avenge him for Meiko, which Kurosaki accepts. As expected, Kurosaki is much better than Meiko, and he never allows her to score. Yu runs over to her friend. She feels indignant that Kurosaki played hard against her friend. However, to her surprise, Meiko is okay with it. She's even grateful that she got to play with him. As Kaji and Kakeru celebrate their friend, Shirakawa walks towards them. He challenges Kurosaki to a basketball match. Whoever scores 10 points first will win. But of course, it won't be an exciting challenge without a wager. Kurosaki nods towards Yu, who has no idea what they are talking about. Shirakawa agrees, and the game begins. Every time Kurosaki scores, Meiko secretly cheers him on. Yu observes this. Then she realizes that her friend has special feelings for Kurosaki. At first, Meiko is shy about it and doesn't want anyone to find out. But because Yu is her friend, she finally reveals her feelings for the boy. She started liking him last year when he saved her from an accident during swimming class. Since then, her feelings have only grown stronger. She even broke up with her boyfriend back then, but she's aware that she won't enter Kurosaki's field of vision ever. Despite that, she continues to love him from afar. Yu feels for her friend. Besides, she realizes she can't tell Meiko about the shirt belonging to Kurosaki. She decides to cheer her friend on and keep that incident to herself. They look back at the players, who are getting more serious about the game. The score is 9-9, so whoever takes the next shot wins. After the next few seconds, Kurosaki wins the game. They're still friends, so there are no hard feelings between them. But Shirakawa declares he still won't back off. He'll pursue Yu, and Kurosaki can't do anything about it. That night, all 6 of them are lounging in the common room, waiting for the heavy rain to stop. Lightning strikes, and Yu, Kaji, and Kakeru get nervous. To calm herself and the others, Yu offers to make some tea. Shirakawa sits beside her, wanting to comfort her whenever lightning strikes. He takes the kettle from her and holds her hand. Yu feels giddy and warm as she is comforted by his presence. Shirakawa makes small talk with Meiko, asking her about her residence. Just then, lights go out due to lightning and thunder. Kaji and Kakeru check the dormitory's electric switch, while Shirakawa and Meiko get up to get flashlights. Kurosaki suddenly hugs Yu from behind. He accuses her of being an unfaithful woman. As it happens, he saw Shirakawa holding her hand, and he felt incredibly jealous. By gently biting Yu's ear, he reminds her of who she really belongs to. Kurosaki keeps his face close to her neck, even as Shirakawa and Meiko return. Thank goodness he has the sense to go back to his seat before causing any scandal. The light finally returns. Shirakawa still thinks Yu is afraid of thunder and the dark, but he discovers a hickey on her neck. Immediately, he looks at Kurosaki, who pretends that nothing happened. Later, when Yu returns to her room, she discovers the hickey. This is her first time having a kiss mark, and she feels undecided about it. On one hand, she feels bad because it looks like she's betraying Meiko. On the other hand, she can't identify that weird feeling she feels whenever Kurosaki gets close to her, or does things that make her heart flutter intensely. That night, she vows to herself to cheer Meiko on, burying whatever emotion she has for the boy. On Friday, the following week, Kaji shows off his free tickets to the amusement park. He invites Yu, Meiko, Kurosaki, and Shirakawa, so the 5 of them travel to the amusement park the next day. During their train ride, Kaji shares with them the legend regarding the park's Ferris wheel. He says that when a couple share a kiss at the top of the Ferris wheel, they'll stay together for a long time. Shirakawa looks meaningfully at Yu, while Kurosaki sends her and his friend deadly glares. At the amusement park, the 5 of them pleasantly enjoy their experience. Kaji is too hyper about it all. As they say, there's always that one guy in a friend group who remains oblivious to all of his friends' romances. As they queue for one of the rides, Shirakawa notices that Yu keeps rubbing her hands together. She says she feels cold, and regrets not bringing her gloves. So he takes one of her hands and, while still holding it, puts it inside one of his pockets. There's that giddy feeling again whenever he acts sweet towards Yu. Behind them, Kurosaki is sulking as he looks at them. They take a break as they decide which ride they should take next. Yu suddenly gets an idea. She encourages Mako to ask Kurosaki to go for a ride. Mako refuses, saying she's not brave enough to do it. But Yu points out that it will be a waste not to take this chance. Mako considers it, and eventually agrees to her friend's plan. So Yu texts Shirakawa to tell him what is about to happen. Shirakawa understands the assignment, and he calls Kaji to get some drinks. This leaves Kurosaki alone at their table, giving Mako a chance to invite him. It is a success. Meanwhile, Shirakawa invites Yu to go for a walk. The two of them enjoy a stroll along the less crowded bridge in the park. As they stop to appreciate the sunset view, Shirakawa notices Yu adjusting her steps. He correctly infers that one of her feet hurts due to blisters caused by her new shoes. He asks her to take a seat on the nearby bench. Then he pulls out a band-aid and gently covers the bruised area. Instantly, she feels relieved. To her surprise, Shirakawa hugs her from behind. He tells her he can't wait anymore. He asks her to look at him, and him only. Knowing his true feelings for her, Yu should feel happy. Shirakawa is the perfect boyfriend by all means. And here he is, offering his heart to her. And yet, she can't truly feel happy. She has no idea why. Or perhaps she knows, but she's not ready to admit it just yet. The sun has already set when they return to their meeting place. Their friends are not there yet. Shirakawa tells her to wait for him there, as he'll go to buy them drinks. Yu agrees. Just as he leaves, Kurosaki comes out of nowhere. He grabs Yu's hand and leads her towards the Ferris wheel. He looks angry. He doesn't even answer her when she asks about Mako. They enter one of the cars, just as the Ferris wheel is about to operate. Back at their meeting place, Shirakawa is baffled about where Yu went. Mako also arrives. She says she lost Kurosaki while on their way there. Kaji also returns, worried that his friends are lost. Shirakawa looks up at the Ferris wheel and gets an idea. It's unfortunate that his assumptions are correct, that Kurosaki and Yu are riding the Ferris wheel. He's scared that Kurosaki, at least, will follow what the legend says. He's not alone in that thought, as Mako also notices the absence of two of her friends. Indeed, Kurosaki has trapped Yu inside and is waiting patiently. Once they're on top, he kisses her. No-nonsense Kurosaki, believing the legend, says strongly about what he really feels for Yu. Will his true feelings finally reach Yu? They return to their friends, and immediately things get awkward. Yu lies to all of them about the Ferris wheel ride. But when she looks at Mako, an understanding passes between them, and she feels ashamed. That night, she cleans the dining hall to think about things. She wonders why she couldn't reject Kurosaki at the time. She feels that weird feeling again, which is very different from what she feels for Shirakawa. She calls that feeling poison, not wanting to acknowledge what it is. In their shared room, Shirakawa becomes candid with Kurosaki. They have been friends for a long time. But it is only now that their friendship is put to the test because of one girl. If Kurosaki ends up dating Yu, then it might be over for the two of them. Kurosaki recalls his memories of when he and Shirakawa used to play together. Those memories are too precious to give up, even when the price is the girl he loves. But he chooses to do what he thinks is right. He always has, and he always will. The next day, as Yu sweeps in the yard, she hears the peaceful piano music again. She checks out the music room, but she finds it empty except for the grand piano. She opens it, and she tries to play the notes she remembers. She wants to know a piece of Kurosaki's mind whenever he plays those beautiful tunes. However, she doesn't expect Kurosaki to hear her. He puts his hand over hers and guides her on which key to press. Together, they play the classical piece Gymnopédie No. 1, in his own way. Kurosaki is letting her know about his bittersweet feelings. It's like he's letting her into his world, where no one is allowed. When the music ends, Kurosaki tells her this is the end of their weird relationship. He's letting her go. She asks why he suddenly decides to cut their contract, and he replies that he's already satisfied. Masking her hurt, she thanks him for freeing her. Before walking out, she goes to her room, where she cries her heart out. She finally understands her feelings for him. Despite his meanness, she didn't expect to fall in love with him. For the next few days, she looks and feels down. During classes, she expects him to pull down her hair again, but it doesn't happen. Along the hallway, Shirakawa greets her, but she doesn't even notice. When he asks if something happened between her and Kurosaki, she says she's been released from her contract. She says she's finally free. Yet she can't feel it in her heart. She is so used to cleaning the dorm during her free time. She forgets that Kaji and Kakeru have already replaced her. Whenever she hears that piano music, she is reminded of the time they played together. She goes to the music room and spends her time there, just to reminisce and feel calm. Meanwhile, Shirakawa notices that his friend is also acting like Yuyu. Perhaps it's time to settle the score between them for the last time. The next day, Yuyu meets Mako. She can't bear to feel ashamed about the fact that she's betraying her only friend, especially when Mako shared her precious secret with her. So Yuyu reveals that she loves Kurosaki too. She apologizes to her for taking so long to realize her feelings. This is her first time feeling this way, and she can't make it go away, even after knowing Mako's feelings for him. In response, Mako is honest about not feeling okay. Now that she and her friend like the same person, just like Yuyu, she also can't give her feelings up. But that doesn't mean their friendship should be ruined by it. Mako has accepted in her heart that whoever wins between them, their friendship will remain. One can assume she likely has an idea about it. Yuyu feels relieved. She treasures Mako just as much as she feels for Kurosaki. Meanwhile, Shirakawa challenges Kurosaki to another basketball game. This time, the first one to score wins. Just as before, they're waging their feelings for Yuyu. Shirakawa looks so serious and different from his princely image. Since he has the ball, he tempts Kurosaki to steal it from him. Shirakawa taunts Kurosaki, saying he's always backed off every time a girl likes him, so he can give her up to Shirakawa. It sounds cool, but that's actually what pisses him off. He finally reveals his true feelings about Kurosawa. Every person Shirakawa falls in love with always falls for Kurosaki instead. Then, Kurosaki will give them up, just to make his best friend happy. But because they can't even look at him the way they look at Kurosaki, it only leaves a sense of defeat for Shirakawa. It's making him feel like they're not equals. It's like Kurosaki never looked at him as worthy of being a rival, so the easiest option is to back off. That's why he chose to get close with Yuyu in the first place, hoping to steal the girl Kurosaki likes. He didn't expect to fall for her, but then he was happy that, finally, Kurosaki was fighting for her. And then he gives her up just like that, just as he always did. Kurosaki gets angry, because he never realized that's how his friend feels all this time. Well then, if it's a real fight he wants, he'll give it to him. Their moves suddenly become intense as they steal the ball from each other. In the end, Kurosaki gets the ball and takes his shot. Shirakawa blocks him. They both fall to the floor as they look at the ball hitting the ring. Will Kurosaki score first? In the next scene, we see Shirakawa waiting for Yuyu. Just as well, because Yuyu plans to be honest with him, that she already likes someone else. But she doesn't expect what he says. Shirakawa reveals that he and Kurosaki had a talk about the invisible wall dividing them for a long time. He admits that he's truly defeated this time. He thanks her for being the reason they finally addressed this. He tells her to press his lips. But this time, it will be a reset. His feelings for her will disappear. Yuyu understands. To free both of them, she touches her fingers on his lips. Then he pushes her to find Kurosaki. We see a flashback of what really happened during their game. It was Kurosaki who scored. Then he tells Shirakawa that he's always considered him as a rival. After all, he's the only one he could never defeat. Shirakawa looked shocked, but he realized Kurosaki was being sincere. Perhaps this is the first defeat he truly accepted. Yuyu spends most of the afternoon looking for Kurosaki. Finally, she finds him at the park. He tells her he's extending her contract indefinitely. She is his woman now. But Yuyu refuses. She stands her ground, saying she won't simply do whatever he tells her to do. But she loves him, so she'll stay as his woman. Kurosaki seems pleased and too shy, now that she's finally confessed her true feelings for him. This time, it's Yuyu who lifts his chin up to kiss him. What can he do but return the favor?